Good morning and welcome to Wellbeing Wednesday. I'm delighted today to be joined by Caz Hitchcock, founder of the Gravity Technique. But today we're talking about something a little bit different. We're talking about Seasonal Affective Disorder, or SAD as some people call it. And I know this is something that's affected you, Caz. And also, I now know that it's something that can affect you quite severely, and not many people realise that. So tell me a little bit about your journey with Seasonal Affective.
So yeah, thank you, Sandy, for having me on this morning. I think with the seasonal affective, it can be sort of misconstrued a little bit as being a bit wishy-washy, something that makes you feel a little bit flat. But actually, my symptoms were quite severe. I couldn't get to the top of the stairs without feeling like I needed a crash team. I had seriously, heart palpitations, breathlessness, and just feeling really, really quite run down. But also for me was the mental health aspect of it, which was just a very sudden onset of acute suicidal thoughts, which just literally turned up out of nowhere.
And I think that's quite scary, to suddenly be feeling like that and not understanding why. I think when you say about it can be misconstrued as depression, very often depression kind of builds to that point, but this is kind of like just the thought drops into your head.
Yes, literally popped up on a dog walk one day, and I had no reason, as you say, it's a build up to depression. I had no reason to be there. So that with that, it was quite scary at the time. So yes, off to the doctor, as with
and he was quite understanding, wasn't he?
He was. I still feel quite lucky to have that doctor, actually, because I wanted to, I felt like I had to go in there and prove that I didn't have depression. But actually his question was, what's your prevailing mood? To which actually my prevailing mood was pretty good. Life was good at the time. So once we'd ascertained that it wasn't depression, he sent me to have my blood test. And I returned a vitamin D level of 15.
Where should it be?
Between 90 and 130.
Wow. Okay.
So it's pretty
low.
Yeah, and vitamin D is responsible for your cell regeneration and maintaining the homeostasis, the chemical balances in your body, particularly in your brain. So it is a chemical imbalance that's caused, as opposed to anything else. And of course that with the change in melatonin, which is where the sunshine, and that's why we always go back to sunshine for being the prime driver for our vitamin D. So vitamin D is primarily from the sunshine, which is why for me, when I wanted to get better, I wanted a light box. So got my lovely light box on today, actually, because of the time of year. And just staring at your light box for 20 minutes every morning, so that gets the light. It changes into the blood, so the sunshine comes into your bloodstream because it's absorbed through the skin. But also the whole of your blood works run through the back of your eye every 4 hours. So when you're looking at your light box, you're absorbing that in, even when it's not sunny outside. So that's a huge boost to your vitamin D levels. And you want one that's about 10,000 lumen. And you've got my blog.
I know you've done a post on that, and there's a lot more detail about things that you can get and what you should do to help improve your vitamin D levels.
I don't take a vitamin D tablet because there's studies to show that just passes straight through the body. The vitamin D needs to be with another vitamin called K2. So if you put that in your search engine, you get that. So vitamin D with K2 together, and I take them as drops that you put under your tongue. And I take far more than is the recommended dose. So the recommended dose is about 1,000 IU a day. I take somewhere around 5,000, but also having your bloods run regularly to monitor that is useful.
So if you take 5,000 as opposed to the recommended dose, obviously your body's okay with that. So if it's too much, will your body just like get rid of it, get rid of what it doesn't need?
It doesn't. You can get too high on your, as with all vitamin supplements, you can take too much, which is why it's useful to have to run your bloods regularly. I run mine through a private company. It doesn't cost very much. You just do a finger prick test every 3 months and they send you back the result, and then you can see from there and just monitor. So doctors first, but doctors only really run bloods when you've got symptoms. They won't run it as a monitoring process. So your fruits and veggies, as always, it always comes back to the diet. You can't, there's no vitamin D in chocolate, sadly. But that's how it is. So reducing your pesticide load by going organic, and it's the standard 4, isn't it? It's your broccoli, it's your kale, it's your spinach, it's your all the big leafy greens.
And interestingly, before we started recording, we were talking about leafy greens and carrots, and we were talking about soil regeneration and how much of the nutrients in soil have been lost. And whereas before you were talking about eating 2 carrots.
Yes, there was a study quite a long time ago now, actually, a few decades ago, where they were testing carrots, and if you ate 2 carrots, you got a certain amount of vitamin A, the one that helps you see in the dark. So they tested the 2 carrots, and you've got a certain amount of vitamin vitamin A, get my kids in the model, and that was 100 years ago. And the modern carrot now that you would buy in your supermarket, you would need to eat about 1 kilo of those to get the same amount of vitamin A. So the depletion in our soil and the nutrients that we need to get from our food is seriously depleted. It's just not there in the quantities that we are used to, and that's one of the prime drivers for our deficiencies. It's 50 years ago, nobody took supplements, they didn't need to, and that is a question that I have a lot of people ask me, why do we need to take supplements now? We didn't, my nan didn't, but actually that over farming, and that's a conversation all of its own, that over farming, that soil depletion, and what that's done to our food chain, coupled with the spraying and the pesticides and all that other stuff. Your body has to work way harder to process your food than it ever did before. So
there's one other thing, isn't there, that you don't normally advocate for that can help with vitamin D.
I broke my own rule on that one, but it came with a whole load of research behind it. I went on a sunbed for the first time in my life, but not an ordinary sunbed. So there's two types of sunbeds now on the market. One of them has the blue tubes, which everybody knows and some of us love. But there's another one on the market, it's a pink tube one, which is a collagen booster, which makes you nice and plump all over. But also in doing that, in boosting your collagen, it kicks off a process where it also boosts your vitamin D levels as well. So the 3 of those combined together got me back to a level of 85, and I'm now somewhere up about 110. And I can maintain that. So I don't need the sunbeds anymore. Excellent. But the light box and the drops are a staple part, the mainstay for me.
I mean, thank you so much. I could sit and talk to you for hours about this. And I know in a few weeks' time, we're going to record again, and we're going to talk a little bit more about vitamins and the journey and how you can improve your vitamin intake without necessarily using supplements off the shelf. So thank you so much, Caz. It's been an absolute delight as always. And all Caz's details are in the comments. Check out her blog. And all I can say at this point is roll on summer. Have a lovely week.